All right. Today we are going to talk about the different parts of argumentative writing. Last week I made a video that introduced it, and this week this video is going to be about the different parts that you need to consider when you write your own argumentative piece. All right. So when writing an argumentative piece, here are some of the different definitions and terms that you need to know that you will need to make sure you include in your writing. So we have argument. That's when you make a claim and you support it using logic. So meaning you support it using evidence um, and facts. Persuasion, that's when you support a claim, you make a claim and you support it using emotion. So you can see the difference between argument and when you use persuasion. A claim, that's a position that you are trying to get your readers to accept. Evidence, that is when you use facts to support your claim. Bridge or warrant, the terms are used interchangeably. It's a statement that explains how the evidence supports and connects the claim. So that's when you kind of bring it all together. Counterclaim or counterargument, again, those are interchangeable. That's when you challenge the argument by addressing the position of someone who may not agree with your position. So even when you're writing your argumentative piece, you do need to kind of think about what somebody else might come back and say as a counterclaim. Then turn back. That's when you demonstrate why the counter argument is wrong. So in your writing, you're going to give your argument. You're going to say a counterclaim, why some people might disagree with you. And then you have to turn it back. You have to bring it back to your original claim and explain why the other counter argument is wrong. And then your audience. It's important to consider who your audience is, who's reading your piece, okay? And how are they going to be affected by what you're writing in the topic. Okay, so when you are writing your argumentative essay, you have to organize your ideas. Okay, it's important that you provide solid evidence, you present the information clearly, and you need to take a look at how it's done. So, an argumentative essay usually has 5 paragraphs. That's the minimum. So, really consider that when you're writing for your state test. It also requires an intro paragraph and a concluding paragraph. So let's go through what each of these paragraphs will have. The introduction, that's where the first paragraph, where you have a hook, and I'll explain more about a hook. You state your claim, so what you're arguing. And then so the hook is sometimes called the lead. That's what draws your reader in, something interesting that gets them to keep reading. And then the claim is usually your thesis statement. Okay, so then you move on to paragraph 1. And so paragraph 1, this introduces the first reason that your claim is valid. Support it with evidence, support it with facts, examples, and data. Okay, remember that each paragraph is probably going to be about 4 to 6 sentences long. You cannot have it less than that. And 4 is the minimum. Body paragraph number 2. This is another paragraph where you state your second reason that your claim is valid. So first paragraph is the first reason. Second body paragraph is another reason. Again, you're supporting with evidence, facts, examples, and or data. All right, paragraph 3 or body paragraph 3. Paragraph is when you introduce an opposing claim or the counter argument. So you're going to have to think about what would somebody who disagrees with me say. And so that's when you introduce your counter argument. And then you're also going to include the turn back, where you're going to bring it back to your claim in your position. So this is all in body paragraph 3. And then your last paragraph is the conclusion. That's where you restate your thesis statement and summarize the main idea of the argument. You also need to make sure you end your essay with a really strong statement. Okay, so the intro, the first intro paragraph, has 3 parts and purposes. You have to have a lead. So the lead hooks the reader and encourages them to keep reading. A lead or a hook is an example of a famous quote. You can use a famous quote that has something to do with your claim. Some unusual detail, maybe a statistic or fact, can be a strong statement. It might even be a question. Use that one carefully, though, or an anecdote. So that's when you are using a personal experience. You're going to introduce the issue. So, briefly explain the issue and the controversy surrounding the argument. Make sure you provide background knowledge as well, or background information. So, here's an example. Much to the public's dismay, summer vacations are in jeopardy in America as the Secretary of Education pushes forward with a movement to extend the school year. You're going to have to excuse my typos. I'm noticing them as I'm reading through, so I will correct those. So they're explaining the controversy and they're giving a little bit of background information. Then you're going to state your claim. This is your thesis statement. This is a promise to the reader what the essay is going to address, okay? So, and it says use one of these key words to form the thesis. Reasons, benefits, advantages or disadvantages. So that's one of the key words that you need to include when you form your thesis statement. For example, there are definite advantages, there's that key word, associated with switching to a year-round school schedule in the United States. So this is your intro paragraph. Easily 6 sentences right here. Okay? The lead, introduce the issue, state your claim. Okay, when you're writing your supporting body paragraphs, so this would be the template that you use for body paragraphs 1 and 2. This is when you support your thesis and or claim. So you're going to start with a topic sentence that introduces a reason people should be convinced by the argument. Example, in order for students to improve academically and avoid the summer slide, American students should attend school year-round. That is your thesis statement, okay? That you're saying, hey, students don't do well when they have the summer off. So that's your reason as well. Then include specific evidence to support the thesis statement. Use facts, examples, and statistics to back up the claim. Include at least 2 to 3 pieces of evidence. For example, Balls, a district in Arizona, saw reading test scores go up from 51% to 65% after extending the school year by 20 days. So you provided some statistics with that. Follow each piece of evidence with a bridge, so that's when you're connecting, to explain how the evidence supports the claim. The bridge connects the evidence with the argument's claim. Example, the significant improvement in reading scores proves that students benefit from having more time in school. So your claim, your thesis statements that kids need to spend more time in school, we need to have a longer school year or school all year round. So you gave an example, and then this bridge brings it back to your claim. And then you use a concluding sentence. It is possible to improve student test scores requiring more days in school. Okay, that's your summing it up for that paragraph. So you're going to do that with paragraphs 1 and 2, okay? Body paragraphs 1 and 2. You give a reason, support it with evidence. Remember, this says at least 2 to 3 pieces of evidence. Have your bridge, and then close it. Here are some reference and transition words that you can use when you're writing your body paragraphs. All right, paragraph 3, body paragraph 3. This is when you write the opposing argument. So the first thing you need to do is the opposing argument, called the counterclaim or counterargument, proves that you fully understand the topic and that you have considered the opposition. You have to look at all sides of your argument. It's important to consider what the opposition is going to say, okay? Transition words and phrases used in the counterargument. So these are some transition words. So you might say, well, at first glance, families think that having school all year round will burn the students out. Okay, you're using one of these transition words in your counterclaim. Then turn back. Okay, that's when you return back to your original argument and it gives you the opportunity to prove why that opposition is wrong. Okay, you have to refute the opposing claim. So some transition words, yet evidence shows that students blah, blah, blah. Okay. Be sure to use the counterclaim transition words and phrases in pairs. So use one to introduce the counterclaim and another to introduce the turnback. So here's some examples. You could say, it might seem that whatever the counter argument, except, so we use one of these words, the transition words, and then you go back to your turnback. It is true, so we look up here, that whatever the counter argument is, nevertheless, go back to your original claim. And then your concluding paragraph. So the concluding paragraph is important as it closes the issue by showing that the topic has been covered thoroughly. It can also be included call to action, which is where excuse me, that the audience considers what they can do about the topic. So you're going to begin by restating that thesis statement or claim. Year-round school is the answer to the economic and educational problems in the United States. Then you're going to present one or two sentences that summarize the evidence and reasons. A year-round schedule will prevent students from losing the hard-earned knowledge gained during the school year. Now, it is important that you do not just copy exactly what you wrote in those other paragraphs. You need to reword it, okay? And then you'll end it by providing a benefit that will result from following this argument or a call to action that might want the audience to do more. A nation's future depends upon having intelligent citizens. Schools must be year-round in order to graduate such citizens. Okay? All right, so now what you're going to do is I have connected a Google Doc for you. It is an essay. So you're going to read the argument essay and it's written by a student, and then you are going to label each of these 9 parts. You're going to label the hook. There's 4 bridges. There's a thesis statement and claim, the counter argument, 4 examples of evidence, turn back, 2 reasons, the call to action, and the background knowledge. So when you click on here, I'll have to excuse my computer because it is running a little slowly. So it takes you to this document. First thing you're going to do is you need to go up to File, and you need to make a copy. Go to Make a Copy. You are going to copy it, put your name, so whatever your name is, and just save it in your drive, okay? So then one of the things you're going to look for is you have to find the hook and the lead. So you're going to come over here, figure out what the hook is. So whatever you think the hook is, you can highlight it, and then if you go to Insert and put a comma or a comment, you can highlight this as hook or whatever you think it is, and then add the comment. That's how you're going to label the different parts of this essay. Okay? All right, guys, so definitely refer back to this, and here's just the, so you can read it first, and then you'll go to that document. So that's the end of this lesson. When we begin writing our own argumentative essays, we're going to include all of those parts. So I want you guys to become familiar with it. So make sure you save this PowerPoint in this video somewhere. And this assignment will be due by Saturday at 10 a.m. All right. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a good one.